With the Xbox tournament coming up, I'm still trying to find a good mid-range solution. I know a lot about the aggro decks in the format, and they all play out similarly with strengths and weaknesses. The right mid-range deck that has good game against control and aggro is hard to find. So today we're going to look at green-black aristocrats. And this is an archetype that a long time ago lost a card called Perilous Mirror and has been kind of a fringe thing ever since. But it got some new toys, and at first the new toys didn't look like a big deal, and now I'm not absolutely sure that the new toys aren't a big deal. They might actually matter quite a bit. So looking at the deck, obviously Fatal Push with Revolt and just the black removal spell. In a deck that sacrifices its own creatures and has Scions, Fatal Push gets Revolt very easily. But Doom Dissenter is one that I started with just 2 copies, and I've been working it up as I almost always want it. It's another basically 2 creatures in 1 body type card to fuel the Krat strategy, while making a 2/2 is a lot better, I would say, than making a 1/1 Scion. It comes up a lot that you actually have a board that can deal a little bit of damage after you get swept, so pretty nice. And then over here we've got the standard stuff, Evolutionary Leap, not quite dead. But Bonito the Glorified, this card is 99% horrible, 1% aristocrats decent. So we're still, I would say I am always a few horrific games away from cutting this card, but it has held up okay in this very specific deck. It gives the deck a little bit of drain out reach that it didn't otherwise have. After that, we're running the Eldritch Evolution to make sure that we actually get our cards like Husk, Smothering, Abomination, and Bonito when we need it. But now we're going to get into some meat and potatoes. Bone Picker. This card lives in here very well. It's a very good card for this deck because we have things dying all the time, and we don't mind our own things dying while making our opponent's stuff die. And this gives us air attack, air assault. So sometimes you just need to push through that damage up top, and there you go. And then the big coup de grace, the decimator of provinces, that we usually need about 7 mana to cast in this deck, but we do get there, especially with Scions. We can get there. We end up sacrificing like an elvish visionary, but then the rest of our wide team tramples in. And the Westvale Abbey is still a regular win condition in the deck. I'm not sure if I need all the Foul Orchards. It's kind of interesting. There is Revolt here, so Fatal Push would work better with Evolving Wilds, but that's the only synergy. But at the same time, I don't know that I need 4 Foul Orchards, so we're going to keep an eye on some of the mana that's going on. And yeah, we're just going to try it out. So right off, if anybody in chat is on Xbox and wants to come play a game, I'd love to have you on the stream. I'd love to play a match, best, 3 games, same decks against each other. And my main thing that I want to test against is control, so if you had a control deck, that'd be fun. But anyway, I'm going to just launch up and we're going to grab a random. Hopefully it's a good game. Greed is Good asks, what do you think of Ulvenwald Mysteries here? I really don't like it. I think you have to pick your enchantments, and there are some good ones. From Beyond is a good one. Ulvenwald is not bad. Nissa is not an enchantment, Voice of Zendikar, but she's similar in that she poops out tokens or keeps the gas going, and you just have to choose. And I think Evolutionary Leap is the best, the way that things are the way that this deck is configured. I think you just want your Evolutionary Leaps and the rest creatures. So here's a hand. We're off to the frickin' races. Let's rock and roll. And here we go. Shard says that Nighthawk already tried Aristocats. It didn't work. If that genius can't make it work, no one can. Well, thankfully I'm not trying to run cats because I totally agree. And here we go. Let's see. Probably get on board with the Visionary. Try to draw a card. We drew both our colorless sources. Very unideal. So we want another green source ASAP. But already the Husk is going to be applying plenty of pressure next turn. And let's start getting in for the damage. Nighthawk would like to comment on his Aristocrats deck that it was a catastrophe. Get it? Catastrophe? Catastrophe? Anyway. Moving right along from that catastrophe, let's swing with our 1/1 brigade. It looks like we're gonna get stuck without double black or double green. Hopefully that doesn't bite us too badly. But Husk to the rescue. Let's see what our opponent can do about it. And this already representing 8 damage. 10 next turn. Our opponent better start doing something on the board. Mournwillow. Not something I'm worried about. Please attack. Okay. I would have enjoyed that. And yeah, this is going perfectly according to script. All right. Dissent, and let's bring the pain. So in situations like this, it's important to keep attacking with everything. You want all the points you can. So it all adds up to 20, right? If the opponent's going to block my blisterpod, I'm going to be really happy to sacrifice it before damage to get more points in, because I was going to trade that blisterpod for that damage eventually anyway. There are probably cases where that's wrong, but I would say 80 to 90% of the time, you just want to be swinging with the team. Send in the team for the damage. Here comes, what do we got? We got the Jund colors. What's the bad things that can happen? Well, there's a billion sweepers in Jund, but our Husk can get out of range and we get a zombie left over, so already I don't feel bad about sweepers. A never is not cool, and not much I can do about that. We could sacrifice this and then have a 2/2 so we have something to attack with next turn. I don't think that's worth it. Alright, hopefully we'll draw some land here. Yep, there we go. So we can redeploy an nantuko husk, or we can turn our dissenter into a smothering abomination. I guess I'd rather have the husk on the battlefield when I make that play. We can do both, actually. We're left with 2 visionaries, a husk, and a smothering abomination. But I can't attack. Alright. But I do like this battlefield. This is pretty good stuff here. I don't fear sweeper right now. The Mournwillow and the Never both imply that our opponent is not going to be sweeping the board anytime soon. So with that off the table, let's just go for the wide board. This is definitely a risky ladder deck in the Xbox meta, as we are walking right into a fog at all times. Anytime we're sacking the team to the husk, we are setting ourselves up for the fog blowout. There's no question about that. You have to go in with your eyes open in such a world. It's almost like I plan to get blown out by fog every single game, right? Well, our opponent's leaving. I'm going to continue as our board position's good and I want to see it through and show you guys a bit of what the deck does in case you're not familiar. Opponent makes a zombie using Never, or Return, the return part of Never Return. And let's start drawing cards. Sweet. Still not on double black. I don't think it will matter. So what happens if we attack with Husk? If he blocks with both of these creatures, we can make Husk a 6/6, eat both his creatures, and draw 2 cards. Sounds like a pretty good trade-off. So I'm going to deploy the Dissenter for that job. This also lets us attack with our other creatures. If our opponent blocks them both, we can take a trade with the zombie and a sacrifice of the visionary to deal 8 damage total. Also, if Husk goes unblocked from here, it's lethal, so they do have to draw Nantuko Husk. I'm going to hold the forest because we might draw a swamp and something to play with it after this attack. Alright, AI pairs it up like that. Pretty straightforward sacrifice here. We're going to lose the visionary anyway, so let's make our husk a 4/4 and eat our opponent's 2/2. We do draw a black source we can play, but enters the battlefield tapped. We'll have it for next turn. We'll have an interesting option with the smothering abomination trigger on the stack. On upkeep, we can make a westvale 1/1 to sacrifice if we don't want to sacrifice an active creature. And there's an active treason. Now, we do just have to sacrifice our husk to itself here. If we don't, our opponents can just sacrifice the husk once they gain control of it. So do I want to sacrifice anything else to draw cards? I don't think so. So we just have to pitch off our own husk, unfortunately. Fortunately, we do still have plenty going on. If I were the opponent, I would probably target the smothering abomination as to shut down the card draw engine. It's almost something better than a husk if you let that thing live. Shard makes the point that the AI may not remember to sacrifice its own creature, but let's not make assumptions like that. Let's play through, so to speak, as if they would make the more obvious plays. All right, can we get through for the lethals? Don't think so. Yep, I don't see it yet. We don't have the sack outlet anymore, so our opponent gets to live at least one more turn. I do think I want to attack with my zombie, force the trade. It's a kind of a free token, trading with a 3-mana 3/2. And we'll see if it's fog time next turn. Radiant Flames. Well, ain't that something? So, forget what I said about sweepers. Apparently this player still believes in them quite a bit. The good old creature sweeper deck. Alright. Well, here we go. This could get interesting. We're going to knock our opponent to 1, but they may not be in that much trouble. They still have 5 cards in hand. Can they recover from here? We're going to be really leaning on our Westvale Abbeys. And we've got an 8/8 Gearhulk. Oh my. Oh my, oh my. Now we get to make a Westvale token, and that'll be it. The flood certainly showed up late, but it's all good. Good old Westvale Abbey token for the win. Just a reminder, if anybody in chat wants to jump in and play a match set, like 3 games with the same decks, tournament style, let me know. I'd love to have a guest on to try out this deck. But in the meantime, we'll keep cruising, trolling the internet for randos. So if you're in chat and you do want to play against me, send me a friend request or a DM if you're not already on my friends list, and then I'll invite you to a game. That's how that's going to work if anybody wants in. And we've got a 3 rank, he's got a 60 card deck, we've got a, wow, this hand, but I'm going to keep it. What could go wrong? Our deck has about 30 creatures. About 30 creatures. And a crop sigil. Interesting. And right away we find a critter to use. Sweet. Thanks, Shard. I specifically said how to get a hold of me for Aaron if he wants to. So, if I hear from him, we'll know he's for cereals. Yeah, it is the Delirium starter deck, running the powerful Stallion of Ashmouth, as well as the Moldgraph Scavenger and Crop Sigil. So, Delirium theme, bringing it today. Crop Sigil hits a forest. This, by the way, is going to mill his top card, and then with Delirium, you can sacrifice it to get a creature and a land card out of the graveyard. Here comes a Crow. That's going to mill 2. Will he hit Delirium? Not yet. In fact, we're still on 2 types. 2 types. So now we can get to work. Expect a Kindly Stranger. I'm not sure if we can expect Fog, but be patient. I'm sure we'll find out. Let's send in Smuggler's Copter. Important to note that these lands sometimes don't always work this way. So those are actually tapped. It's not untapped when you're considering what your opponent could be doing. Too Fast for You wants to know if I'm still posting my lists online somewhere. You can watch my video archives. You can look on YouTube at my YouTube channel, and you can scroll down below to see the decks I'm playing. We've got a question about how my gamer tag is spelled. I'm gonna pull that up for you right now. CovertGo space blue. CovertGo space blue. All right. Let's see what's up here. Our opponent's got something with reach. That ain't cool. Ain't cool, bro. We need a way to get revolt. I could just throw 2 copters in, but that's a pretty hideous trade, right? I could fatal push my own blisterpod. Actually, what do we got in the graveyard here? 2 creatures, so the 3 us. It's pretty funky, but our opponent then takes and has. Let's think. Yeah, this is gonna get funky, guys. It's gonna be one of those games where we just take weird lines, but oh well. I wish I had an evolutionary leap instead, but you gotta play the hand you got. It's a very good value for our opponent. I don't deny that for a second, but it does keep us on the front foot where I think we have to live. And wow, it cycles us through 2 more dead draws. So I'm grateful for that. Thank you, Smuggler's Copters. If we had sat back and just drawn those cards for the next 2 turns, we would probably fall much further behind. And now our opponent has to come up with another air defense. Now, they still don't have Delirium, so Crop Sigil getting back that Seed Guardian would be a beating, but it would take at least 2 turns to execute, but we still have no delirium. This will probably fix that, but now he's 3 turns off of recasting it. How we doing? We got to 4. Vessel of Nascency, he did not pick, and a land he did not pick. So what did he pick with Bitter Revelation, right? If he has a removal spell, or a Reclamation Sage, I'm sure those would get the pick. There's Nantuko Husk. Definitely a hit. And probably what we want to keep untapped. So let's go ahead and attack first. We definitely want a good blocker like Nantuko Husk to be the one playing defense. Hit him down to 3. Maybe we'll find a bone picker while we're at it. We haven't seen a bone picker yet. There's the leap. Definitely a keeper here. Second leap, not so much. Funny how they come in 2s. Down to 3. I have a feeling that because of the Bitter Revelation, our opponent kept a removal spell if they have one. So I'm going to cast Evolutionary Leap instead of Nantuko Husk. And we'll see if I live to regret that. But I just have a feeling, I got a feeling that if I throw Husk out here, it'll be the thing that dies. Maybe that's not a terrible thing with Smuggler's Copters doing most of the damage. I don't know. It's tough, right? Now, if he targets our Smuggler's Copter with some kind of removal spell, we can do funky crew things by sacking the thrall, but since we only have 1 green, that doesn't matter. There's a question, do they run Rex Sage and Delirium? Yeah, they do if if they're serious about it. It's hard to tell where our opponent's at on that scale. I get a feeling that this is like the starter box version of Delirium. So we have a play here. I'm just going to show it, not necessarily because it's the best play in this situation, but because it's an option. You can sacrifice your carrier thrall to make your scion. Your scion can then block. In this case, I'm not going to. As soon as I'm done with this game, Aaron, we'll try. We'll have a battle. It'll be great. Our opponent leaves up 3 mana. Could be fog. Certainly could be fog. I definitely want to use my scions to turn these on. It's hard to win the aggro race against the fogs, but let's see what happens here. Maybe double fatal push could have been set up. But we'll find out. Don't need you. Just running through that land, which thankfully. Don't think I need you. And no fogs. So Kratz will take that one. Basically thanks to Smuggler's Copter. We kept a hand that was 2 fatal push and two Smuggler's Copters. Alright, let's see if I've got a friend request here and I can set up a game. I do not. I have no requests, so at this point I'm going to give... we're going to take about 2 minutes before I move on to another game. I absolutely want to play you, but I find that if I sit around waiting for people to figure out how to do the friend requests and the connection stuff, that it's not fun for anybody. Also, Aaron, if you like, you can DM me your screen name for Xbox. I could try connecting to you. Yep. All that needs to happen is sending me an invite. I'll handle, send me a message, and then I'll handle things from there. So I got your message, and invite on the way. All right, please, Aaron, mute the stream, and try not to look at my hand to influence plays. And then not best 2 out of 3. We'll play 3 games, keep the decks the same, and hopefully it'll be fun for everybody to watch. Alright, connected to a game. And look, Hakeem's back. Hakeem is here in good old Panther avatar form. We'll see what he's playing. I believe he set a Sultai ramp deck. I have no idea how I can compete with ramp. It's definitely not the thing I'm worried about. I really want to play more traditional control decks and aggro decks with this Kratz deck. So let's see what happens. Oof. Ugly hand. Ugly hand. But so good if I draw a land, so bad if I don't. But the odds are below 50% to draw that land, so I gotta try again. This is just, this is not good. This is really bad, but can't go lower. I don't know what was up with those last 3 hands, but that's Magic for you. Sunken Hollow for Aaron. A green source is good to see. Let's get the dissenter out there. Maybe we'll get a point or 2 in before I throw it into the abyss. But if he is in fact ramp, we have no pressure, and this game is going to get ugly. Yeah, great draws. Great draws, yo. 2 lands right off the top. May as well have kept our 5-lander. At least one of them is green, but man, oh man. Every land from this point on is like giving the opponent a time walk. Let's see if our opponent has green mana, if their 3-color deck found what it needs. It doesn't look like it. If they are in fact playing Sultai, I'm just taking him for his word in the chat. Interesting draw. And one of those that is hard to play in this spot, as it could definitely be countered here. I mean, does our opponent keep a hand that just plays like this? But I think we have to try. I think that not trying would be a mistake. Resolves. Okay, I hope it sticks around. I really hope it sticks around. And another Sunken Hollow, so our opponent might be having mana trouble as well, or just playing the really long game. Ooh, another green is awesome here. Get in there, Dissenter. Get in there. Let's start the train. As we're wasting our mana if we don't do something else with it. And we find a Visionary. Cool. And a murder is going to target our zombie token. All right. I would definitely save that for nantuko husk, but not the play our opponent decided to make. Let's see if they try to kill the visionary to just cut the leap off, because it's pretty obvious we're short on creatures. Trial of Ambition, yep. He's trying to cut us off from having dorks on the battlefield. Play a very control-y game. Fatal Push, not good against control. It's the only removal spell in our deck. It's kind of sad that we drew it. However, Westvale Abbey probably turn out pretty clutch here. Unless something big comes after us, which could happen any second. Parting the Water Veil. I mean, that's one way to do it. We definitely don't have pressure, so we gotta grind. Grind and hope our opponent's not gonna hit us with a haymaker. Ooh. That part the Water Veil didn't go anywhere. See if they have an instant speed removal. Nope. Good draw. Then the token. I'll try to resolve this carrier thrall. See what happens. Resolves. I don't want to play Eldritch Evolution into so much open mana, but I do want to keep digging and make more plays each turn to keep getting more cards onto the battlefield. We have a question, does Haymaker equal win con? Yep, that's what I mean. So if we go for this, I don't like it. I'd rather wait till next turn. He knows about it, but I'd rather wait. And I'll keep my dorks on the battlefield this time. Here come the dorks. Tribesman asking, a control deck when is the best time to play Torrential Gearhulk? That's such a loaded question. It changes. I can't really speak to it. So the odds are playing this gets it countered, but our opponent hasn't shown us anything like a counter spell, so I'm just going to go for it. Okay, doesn't appear to be a counter type of deck. However, they found their green source, so green cards coming online. Might be Rec Sage time. Appetite for the unnatural. Yeah. Alright, let's do some sacking. Draw some cards. And do we want to do another? I think that the odds of my Smothering Abomination dying are pretty high. What do you guys think? Yeah, I do think it's going to die. But I can still force him to use a removal spell here. And it doesn't have to die on my upkeep because I have Westvale. And that reloaded my hand. There's the bounty. Bounty is an interesting card. Okay, Westvale trigger. Let's power up. And sack. Also, that's, I'm kind of hoping he thought I would lose my Abomination, as that is not always an obvious play. So if he thinks I'm going to lose it, maybe he plays Bounty instead of removing it, right? And this way I get to hit him for 4 one more time and draw some cards. And we're going to get the Dissenter. Or do we get Bontu? What's Bontu do here? Because we can run this play back. Bontu makes it an 8-point swing next turn if the opponent doesn't do something about both of these. And they're 2 turns from Ulamog. Then when they Ulamog me... Yeah, think about this. Yeah, I think I need to get the damage in before Ulamog comes down. But if I use up all my mana the turn after that, then Bontu is active. And I play blisterpod, and I play Doom Dissenter, Ulamog, remove these two, and all I've got are these two. So I guess saving Bontu is best. He can come down after Ulamog and maybe give me some reach. Alright, so we'll play the Dorks instead. Yeah, if opponent has Cruel Reality, that would be pretty great for us. Sacrificing creatures is already part of our game plan. There's the Never. Okay. So down goes Smothering Abomination, so maybe our play paid off, or they just drew that Never. There's Spring, so still going ham on the mana. So next turn's the big mana turn. I really want to draw a Decimator, is what I need. But now that he's low on mana, the Eldritch Evolution becomes good. So, 1 mana this. What do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And what do we have in the graveyard? Guess we can get back a Visionary. Or probably plussing Liliana is just a lot better, right? An Eldritch Evolution could get our other abomination. Alright. Let's do this. Because why not? Send those. Play this. Play this. And let's see here. Abomination number 2. Plus Liliana. Let's discard the land. It's that or we play Bontu this turn. I guess that does max out his Ulamog targets. Let's discard... Oh, this is tough actually. Because push may still be important. But I'm going to discard the push. Am I? For the Visionary. I'm going to discard the push. And yeah, we're going to put Bontu on the battlefield. And there's Ulamog. So what do we target? Okay. Leaves Bontu, so Bontu can still get in. That's a big deal. If you're going to beat Ulamog, you have to have a relevant battlefield after. And that should be lethal, unless he has something else. So, let's figure this out. Play the Visionary. Draw. Another Abbey. We could flip the Abbey and go for it broke that way. Our opponent has told us they have Fog. Is that the way you go for it? I think instead of that, we run the Bontu sack game. But we will leave our Abbey untapped in case we want to do that later. And we'll go for kind of a drain you out approach. Top. That might matter. Alright, send the crew. I guess it's more important than a 1-1. But I already know what I'm keeping on top, which always makes scrying feel awkward. Alright, he goes to 2, he goes to 1, so that'll do it. And that's why we slow roll the Bontu, I guess. But I guess if we had played it sooner, it wouldn't have mattered. Our opponent had to wait one more turn to Ulamog. But we got there. So, awkward hand. Our opponent also had an awkward hand. They were missing green mana for a long time. So kind of the T-Rex slap fight. But now we're going to take it to game number 2 and see what happens. Yep, gotta find your Bontu kills. I was almost hoping for a fog, so we could, or though actually putting decimator on top was a bad move, right? Because if there's a fog, Ulamog attacks and exiles my library, and it exiles the top card. So maybe I should have been stacking that to the bottom. I don't know. That's something I didn't think enough about, I suppose. Hopefully this game brings out the teeth for both of our decks instead of the little T-Rex arms. Like I can barely function as a deck right now, but I'm punching you. I got you. You're in trouble. Our opponent's gonna be on the play. We don't interact with bounty. We don't interact with any enchantments. That's one of the weaknesses. But I don't see putting Rex Sages or something like that in here as just ignoring our opponent's game plan is most of our game plan. We're just trying to go off and not care what they do. And this time it looks like mana might become a bottleneck. I hope not. We've drawn plenty of lands the last few games. Would like to see that continue. Our opponent with no turn 2 Druid, which is what I was probably most afraid of in the world. So Carrier Thrall attacks best, so we'll start there. And here's Springing. So Spring's an awesome, I just love Spring. I think it's a really good card. I love a ramp spell that turns into card draw later. It feels like you really got paid off on that one. All right. Send the Thrall. Another card to keep in mind is Appetite for the Unnatural. Our opponent has that in the deck. Makes us want to be careful about when and how we evolutionary leap. And they have Murder, so be careful about when and how we Nantuko Husk. Here comes Bounty. Nope. Veggies. And what's we got? 4th land. Cool. Send in the clowns. Now I'm trying to decide if Bontu is the play, because it's so hard to stop, and it's such a quicker clock, then... Like, Smothering Abomination is great, but it just dies to Murder, right? Well, I guess it makes him deal with it, but still. How about Sweeper? Bontu doesn't die to a Sweeper. His deck may be pretty Bontu soft, now that I think about the cards we've seen, so let's go for it. Let's take a more aggressive line with Bontu this game, since we know a bit more about what we're up against. The Drain might be good. And there's Nissa's Renewal, so our opponent's right to the top rope. No question. Alright, make something die. I guess we'll do the evolutionary leap thing. No, that's slow, though. But I guess we get it on the board? So our options are to evolutionary leap Doom Dissenter, then we sacrifice it to the leap so Bontu can attack. We could also just play Doom Dissenter, drain with Bontu, and attack. And that presents a quicker clock. You can also play Husk, sack Thrall, drain with Bontu. Husk is the quickest. Bontu cannot be murdered. Bontu is indestructible. It's interesting. It's just a really interesting spot. I'm going to take the leap approach since Appetite for the Unnatural is down. And if he wants to play that card, 3 mana, taking his time for that, not very opposed. And this also, of course, builds things for later. And we get a zombie and another creature in our hand. Ooh, if I had another black, Bone Picker would be hot sauce right now. Attack for 8. See what you got. If there is an Ulamog right here, I mean, my god, right? How about the draws this player has had? Ulamog in both games. Well, the first game was a slap fight. This is the deck at 100% with Ulamog right where it needs to be. We still have pressure, though. That's not a great draw, but let's get in there. See what happens. All right, goes down. So now we can play Smothering Abomination. We can play Bone Picker. Got all our pressure in the air. Ulamog can get in front of a Husk, so that's why I avoid playing Husk here. Just want the air raid. So we're presenting lethal, but who knows what's left in that hand, right? That's good. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. We do have 2 turns against Ulamog. It's not the end of the world. Maybe he's also packing removal on top of this and a fog. I don't know. I mean, you have to attack, right? It's kind of a 3-turn clock, though, right? Because I can get in there. I can block. Not going to block with any of these, though. All right. 26 cards. Never. Great. Yeah, this is his deck at full power. There is no question about that. All right. So let's get in there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then what do I do? He can block the Husk, and I take 1, 2. Okay. Last card in hand, though. Fatal Push for if he uses the return. Blisterpod blocks Ulamog. Nantuko Husk is lethal. Let's see what happens. I am glad we've given him a game, despite the awesome Ulamog ramping. Nissa, okay. That gives me 10. Oh, but I'm not dead. Oh no. Don't tell him. Don't tell him. He's thinking. Did he check my hand? That would be brutal. Like, come on, man, go for it. What? What do you guys think? Did he check my hand? Let's see. He checked my hand. He would have gone for lethal there. Come on, buddy. Why'd you have to do that? It is a smart play. He didn't have to check my hand, just to be totally straight about it. He did not have to check my hand. He didn't have to. He could have certainly seen that. He could have certainly read that play. All right, off the top, no way to make the Husk unblockable. However, I'm 80%. All we had to do was get him to make that Nissa play, and we win that game. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, can't stop it. I mean, he's got it, right? There's no way I can push this thing. It's unpushable. Most I can get in is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So we're done with that one. But, I mean, just because you don't see somebody doesn't mean that they don't check the stream, though, guys. You know that all they have to do is log out, or log in on any device. You know that, right? I'm not saying he had to. He didn't have to. But, man, that pump fake makes me think. Woohoo. If he goes Nissa Ultimate there to win the game, though, we definitely win. We just frickin' win. The play he made was a lot better. 100%. Regardless of knowing our hand, because all he has to do is survive. Although he gave us another turn to play Decimator of Provinces. Maybe that's not the best play. Maybe it's not a good play to do that. I don't know. That's a 1 of. Fatal Push is a 3 of. You definitely play around the 3 of. Are we gonna load? Are we gonna load? That is the biggest problem I have with inviting people I don't know onto the stream, is I don't know if I can trust them. It's the biggest thing that plays on my mind. And this is just real talk, I'm just being honest. You know what I mean? It's like if I play against Too Fast, for example, I know he's not there to mess with me. Avocado, I know that, but I've never met Aaron before. I just met him today. So how can I trust him? It's hard. He could be like a total Boy Scoutmaster like me, right? But it's just hard. Nothing you can do about that. It's the nature of the world. Let's see here. Okay, sorry guys, I have to restart the app, so that's going to have to end this video, but if you want to see the full stream, you can go to the Twitch channel and check the archives, and I will be back with more later.